The ocean is not a place that forgives mistakes. It certainly doesn't forgive arrogance. When a storm of this magnitude hits, a wooden merchant ship is torn apart like wet paper. But to understand how a man ends up staring down a rogue wave, we have to go back to dry land, specifically to Baghdad, or Want. He also has a severe psychological itch. The safety of his luxurious life begins to grate on him. He craves the unknown. Breaking his own vows to never travel again, he packs up a massive haul of merchandise, heads to the port of Basra, and boards a new ship. This is a calculated relapse. Driven by boredom and a hunger for even more profit, Sinbad invites whatever punishment the universe has waiting for him. The consequence is immediate. A violent squall blows the ship far off its charted course, pushing the crew completely off all known maps into uncharted waters. The captain checks his books and begins weeping. They have entered the Sea of the King. According to legend, this is the exact spot where King Solomon is buried beneath the waves, a place from which no sailor ever returns. This diagram shows exactly why. The merchant ship, already small, is completely dwarfed by the arrival of 3 mountain-sized leviathans. As they circle the vessel, they open their jaws, voids wider than the gates of an entire city. As the crew prepares to be eaten alive, the weather intervenes. A sudden, violent gust of wind picks the ship up entirely out of the water and slams it down onto a jagged reef, instantly shattering it to pieces. Everyone and everything is plunged into the sea. Sinbad survives only by straddling a single plank of wood, bobbing helplessly as the freezing, dark waters play sport with him. Tossing in the surf, staring at his own death, the realization finally hits him. He admits aloud that his insatiable greed for gain brought him here. The wealth back in Baghdad means nothing if he drowns at the edge of the world. He eventually washes ashore on a deserted island. Starving and desperate, he gathers scattered balsa wood, ties together a makeshift raft, and sets off down a rushing river of sweet water. The river accelerates. He rides helplessly toward the deafening roar of a massive waterfall, bracing to be smashed on the rapids below. But just before the drop, a heavy net falls over him. A local fisherman hauls him onto the bank. The fisherman brings him to a nearby city, where his fortunes violently reverse. A wealthy, elderly patron takes a liking to him, buys his worthless balsa raft for 150 silver pieces, and offers Sinbad his beautiful daughter's hand in marriage. They live happily for years. When the elderly father eventually passes away, Sinbad inherits the entire estate, instantly becoming a wealthy, powerful head of the household. On the surface, his epic journey seems complete. He has his luxury back. But this is a false harbor. His physical environment is fixed, but his internal compass remains totally broken. His core addiction to the bizarre and the unknown is still ticking. He soon uncovers a dark, supernatural secret about his new home. Once a month, the men of the city physically alter their forms, sprouting feathers and transforming into massive bird creatures. A rational person might flee, but Sinbad's fatal curiosity overrides every vow of repentance he made in the ocean. He corners one of his birdmen friends and begs to be carried into the sky. On this cosmological map, we trace his vertical ascent. The birdman carries Sinbad past the clouds, breaching the celestial boundary where he hears angels. Overwhelmed, Sinbad shouts his own praise. Instantly, a massive burst of fire drops from the heavens, scattering the flock. His carrier curses his name, violently releasing his grip. Sinbad plummets through the clouds, eventually crashing down onto the jagged peak of an isolated mountain. The stakes have transcended the physical world. Sinbad has drifted directly into the crosshairs of cosmic divine forces. Stranded on the peak, he encounters 2 mysterious young men. They carry glowing rods of gold and introduce themselves as servants of the Most High. Without explanation, they hand Sinbad a golden rod of his own, and the 3 of them begin walking together along the treacherous mountain ridge. Suddenly, a terrifying cry echoes up the path. A giant serpent has ambushed a traveler, its jaws already half swallowing the screaming victim. Instead of running away or bargaining for his life, Sinbad charges. He strikes down forcefully on the thick scales of the monster's head with his golden rod, beating the serpent until it spits out the man. Up until this moment, Sinbad has been a passive survivor, constantly running from or being tossed around by massive beasts. By charging forward with a divine weapon to save another life, he transitions into an active hero. Returning to a measured pace, he manages to find another group of birdmen and convinces one to carry him back down to the city. But instead of a warm welcome, his wife greets him in pure terror. She warns him that the birdmen do not know how to mention the name of the Almighty because they are directly related to devils. Sinbad has been building his perfect life among demons. That breaks the spell. Sinbad reaches his absolute psychological limit. He liquidates his massive estate, takes the money, flees the city with his life, and boards a ship for Basra. The journey home is completely uneventful. He arrives safely back in Baghdad, reuniting with friends and family who are stunned to see him alive. He has been lost to the world for 27 years. He swears an oath to never travel again, and this time he keeps it. After surviving monsters, shipwrecks, and the fire of the heavens, he has finally cured his addiction to more. He returns to Baghdad, having finally recognized that the life he once tried to escape was the